All right, yeah. So we live right now. I'm kind of enjoying this topic that's coming up. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. How was your weekend?
Oh man, it wasn't bad. I was pretty busy doing nothing. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. Man, I tell you, I was really busy doing nothing, and I just laid back and chilled. Hey, man, I tell you what, man. Like I say, it was beautiful. How about you, man?
Like I said, I mean, pretty much the same. It was a little busy. Did some things around the house. Kind of rearranged some things. Kind of rearranging my living room, and I'm considering rearranging my bedroom probably here in the next couple of days. But nothing too much, man. I cooked yesterday. Um, no, Saturday. I cooked Saturday. I did the stuffed turkey legs with the dirty rice.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I heard about
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
clear.
So I
I
did.
heard it.
Yeah,
And thanks. Stuck your foot in.
yeah, and just yesterday, just pretty much just relax, man. Relax around the house, watch a little TV, some movies,
That's what's up.
get ready for the week.
Get ready for the week. There
Yeah,
we go
man.
again. What they say, same toilet, different shit. All right, now
Yeah.
I know that was weird when I said that. I ain't gonna jump this thing off, man. Before I say something else, that's kind of crazy. So I appreciate you might be out of commission, rehabbing or rehabbing the injury. Let me say that. I want to say rehabbing. I don't want niggas thinking, Anyway, rehabbing an injury to your ankle, and just remember ice and heat, brother. But I tell you what, man, go to jump this thing off. Since you the producer today, it's gonna get interesting because man, all right, what you got, man? What you got?
Yeah, I think it's been kind of been overlooked of how put so much pressure on our our sons. You know, you when I say you got t-shirts for Black Girl Magic, you got Daddy's Girls. You know what I'm saying? You got little princess and this and that. But when it comes to the black community or the minority community, we're the only community that have put so much pressure on our sons to pick up the slack. We still have that slave mentality. You know, if dad is not home, you got to pick up the slack. And you hear them stories. When my dad left, and I had become the man of the house.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
we're the only race that glorifies that. You
Ooh.
know,
Okay. Okay.
um, you know, you have different cultures. Excuse me, you have different cultures that has different traditions. I mean, you would never hear a Asian community say, "Well, my dad, he wasn't there, so I had to become the man of the house." No, he just became his own man.
Wow, that's a good point. That's a good point.
You know,
Okay.
the Hispanics. You never see a single Hispanic mother try to dress her young son as her husband, or what I'm saying, or say that he's my king, or however. In the
Well,
black community, where
well, I tell you what. Damn, here you go, instigate again. Wow. It's funny that you say that. Not funny in a sense of funny, but just
all
figured.
right,
Um, this phenomenon that you're talking about is a global thing when you do the research, and I hope that our listeners do the research. Uh, they call it uh, incest of invert or invert incest. You know, they kind of go both hands. And what it's talking about is where it's mainly when a mom or a mother figure, uh, for drastic measures, invert that son into a role of a husband, right?
Okay.
Usually a psychological defensive mechanism seemed common in moms. Just look me up on this. I didn't like the research when I looked it up, but a lot of research show that that's kind of what it is, inverting the role, and it's usually caused by moms that went through a horrible divorce or marriage is kind of not fulfilling on the breaks or breaks or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So they look at that son. You don't know which one it's going to be, and they kind of that son becomes the husband role now, inadvertently, not even knowing it. And
Right.
so it was amazing when I talked to a couple of psychiatrists about this. That good friends of mine that I do their landscaping, and they kind of laughed when I brought it up. And they said, "You really want to bring this up on your show?" I said, "Well, my man is, he ain't holding back no punches." Yeah.
Yeah.
So they laughed and they said, "Well, the research that we studied and seen is that it's usually from a traumatic home or background that a woman experience usually at a young age, and then when they become a mom, if this situation happens, right, then they go into that extreme mode to where it's like, okay, I'm not gonna be alone. I'm not gonna go through this. So now I'm picking the next. If you think about it, it's kind of like back in the I wouldn't say dark ages, but in the old time, it was kind
Hmm.
of natural for if something happened to the father that whoever that was the oldest kind of just automatically got dubbed to be the man in the house, right?
Right. I was just thinking about that. You make some great points. Uh, with uh, with kings of Egypt or just different men. I mean, different young men. But the thing about it is, I don't. Do you feel that like these young men was forced into? There's a difference between being forced into being kingdomship. You know what I mean? And then there's a difference between being forced as a husband.
Wow, that is powerful. I'm glad you separated those things because psychologically and just by position, you're absolutely right. It's good that you separated that. Instigating again, I like that. But you're right. There is a strong difference in when you inverting the role, or you inverting it to somebody being promoted to a king, a male figure, right? No matter the age, or somebody being inverted into a husband role, right? So you're right. When you talk about a husband role, you're looking at everything by the law. That's the easiest way to explain it. I mean, everything that the law, wherever you live, because this happens all over the world, right? Wherever
Right.
you live, whatever culture you're a part of, the way that old Hawk can make it neutral is whatever those guidelines or regulations of
Right.
the description of a husband, that's the guidelines of what you're inadvertently playing your son as, right? For whatever dramatic reason. Now, when you talk about this thing like king, now that's a powerful thing because psychologically, that's what keeps you alone. And what I mean by that, and it's even more detrimental when you talk about males, right?
Right.
It's hard to find an alpha male. You say, my women, my sisters, when you say, I want a man that can handle his business, that'll hold his own, and that'll protect his family. Well, those are the traits of a male mammal that's territorial, right? That takes care of his own, right or wrong.
Right.
That's gonna be hard for apex male to try and fit into your life where you making a apex male that ain't ready for it, which is your son.
Right.
I'm just saying, think about that scientifically. That's gonna cause some bad math, right?
Right.
So let's go back to, and I'm saying as a king. So what I mean by that is separating. There might be some people that say, well, how do you know this twin? Somebody's doing it as a husband, somebody's a king. Well, when there's a male in the house that doesn't have the experience, we talking about your son, right? Your sons don't have the experience, haven't even got in the workforce long enough, don't even know what it is really about paying bills and the worry and the stresses that we go through. But you have kind of put him in that status, right? Psychologically,
Cool.
you have done invertly. Well, guess what? From what the research is saying, at the end, it tends to make a fight that eventually becomes bad, especially if that male finds another alpha female. Here we go with that word, alpha.
Right.
If she finds an, if he, I'm sorry, if he finds an alpha female, then here we go with War of the Roses.
Right.
So it does work along with males as it does with there are fathers out there that are still doing this incest of invert incest to where they're flipping the roles, might have went through a horrible divorce or whatever or traumatic, and they have the possession of their daughters and they're treating their daughters as wives, right?
Okay. Okay.
This can
Makes
happen.
a lot of sense.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I'm agreeing. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because we do have men that have their daughters to cook for them, iron their clothes. You know. So yeah, you're absolutely correct.
So I mean, to get back to, I like where you went for is black men. Man, um, man, when you do the research on this thing as our race, as far as our race being black American, this thing gets really the rabbit hole gets really deep. Now, what I mean by
Yeah.
that is if you try and look up the source, because keep in mind the psychologists say, and if you look up the research, that moms, before I even throw race, moms that do this consciously or unconsciously is usually behind something traumatic, usually a traumatic divorce, or they're already going through a traumatic marriage, right? Now, watch this. When you go do the research and say, specifically say, what race in America has the highest divorce rate?
Yeah, African American, the black community.
Well, there was a race that beat us, a little more percentage, but both our numbers weren't good. But unbelievably, there was a race that beat Black Americans. You know what race that was?
Really?
Yeah, tripped me
What
out.
race is that?
Native American. Almost
Really?
50% chance that they will end up in a divorce, male or female. We talking about male
Hmm.
and right?
Okay.
That's staggering. Us, Black Americans, 40 to 45%. That's still not good. That's still close to half, right? It
Right.
said that the numbers are unreal. It was saying that out of 1,000 marriages filed, there's a strong chance that over 40% of those 1,000, when you look at the exact numbers, is going to be two black people. Like that's scary stats. You know, we talk about stats when it comes to sports because it's fun. We talk about stats when it comes to cars, stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's fun. But this is the, this is not the pretty. This is the nitty gritty. So when you talk about that, when I look at those numbers, and it said when you even go even more specific, and you say out of all the races in America, which race of women file the most divorce? Guess what race came up? It was Native American and Black. That I didn't
Really?
seeing that data, man. I didn't like seeing that. I'm just going to the folk. I'm not saying this. This really touched me too. I didn't like seeing that data. That was it shook me too because when I think about it, okay, they won. They're still winning. And what I
It's
mean
still
by
winning.
that, how can me, Hawk, say that I'm pro-black and say that I'm trying to uplift my people when I can't even get along with the opposite sex of my race? Like that
Mm,
is detrimental. Like it's almost like the black man and the black woman is on the same conference but playing against two different divisions. If that makes sense.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, and I'm a product of this. I'm wrong for this also. I spent time talking about, man, I'm trying to blow up my black brothers. Well, damn, ain't that segregation? And then you hear black sisters say, "But I'm trying to blow up my black sister." Well, damn, ain't that segregation? Okay, the problem is a house united will stand, a house divided will fall. We will never be truly pro-black until we can find out how we can get along with each other. And I'm not talking about as the same sex. I'm talking about black men, black women, black men getting along and realize that we need each other. That's the ultimate unity. Trying to unify each other and not, and like I said, I'm a product of this, not trying to subliminally segregate because of something that happened to us. Like if you think about it, we influence the world. Black folk, black Americans, men and women, women and men. We influence the world. We inspire the world through our music, through the way we dress, the way we speak. You know, that's what we do. But what's scary is that how much more can we do if we just unify? And I'm not talking sedition against the government. I'm not saying for us to unify to then become a militia. No, that's the hard route. Why the fuck you want to do that? No,
Right.
I'm talking about unify and become that cool ass motherfucker in the room. You understand what I'm saying? The motherfucker you
Right.
gotta have in the room if you want to have a good time. When they talk about politics, religion, anything, we have the capability. But I vow myself, the only way we're gonna end this divorce rate, right,
Okay.
amongst ourselves, is we have to then, like y'all said the other night, beautiful basketball.
Right.
We then have to promote beautiful black relationships, not just against our brothers. Because come on, the events that happen, come on, Q, admit. I've
What?
noticed even here in New Mexico, I'm noticing more of my black brothers, we're speaking to each other more. What's going on, my brother? What's going on, bro? What's going on, bro? Like we're speaking more to each other. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be like that just amongst each other. And I'll go ahead and let you chime in. I haven't said a lot.
No, man, that's really good, man. You said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. No, you said a lot of impactful things, a lot of notes that I'm taking myself. Uh, as a black man, being single, never being married, and I guess that was one of the biggest things. Like women ask me, "Well, I've never been married." And one thing it was always because I looked at my biological father say, "Well, this guy he's been married 3 and 4 times." I personally don't want to go down that road where if I don't understand what love is, how can I appreciate and show somebody else what love is?
Yeah,
So make a lot of great points because building a relationship is because sometimes Me and a friend we had, well, as a matter of fact, it was D. We was talking the other day, and we were just like, sometimes, we expect so many things from each other, on the good, but when it comes to my fuck ups or my mess ups, I got to hide those until I get you in a position where it's like, okay, I got you. So now you got to accept me for who I am. And now in the back of your mind, you think to yourself like, wow, I saw the red flags. I heard the red flags. I just chose not to um, acknowledge those red flags.
or
So
accept.
right. Well, acknowledge and accept for me, like you say, because if you accept those red flags, then you can't get that man if he's an alcoholic. If you accept those red flags, you can't get upset if that man is a womanizer. You know what I mean? If you accept those red flags, because those red flags, there was penalties on the play. You could have called those penalties.
Okay, this is the thing. I mean, acceptance is so powerful. Reason why I say this is because a person can acknowledge that they're wrong. That don't mean they're sorry for what they did. That's a whole part of law. Like you can accept, hey, what I did, I accepted it was remorseful. I mean, I'm sorry, I acknowledge, which means I have an understanding that what I did broke the rules, right?
Right.
But I can still plead not guilty, right? I mean, think about that. That don't mean I accept that I'm guilty, right? And that's the powerful thing about acceptance is when you accept something, rather you like it or not, even mentally, it starts a whole nother chain reaction. It starts the next move when you accept it. In other words, most of us that went through, since we bring up divorce, most of us that went through that horrible transition of divorce, it was all that acknowledging, okay, here we go, you got this, I got this. Okay, what you gonna take?
Mhm.
And then you go through this period where it's like, hey, maybe we can work it out. See, you just
Right. Right.
acknowledging that maybe the red flags that maybe we're not meant, but we're acknowledging
Mhm.
that maybe there might be a chance. Well, that's just math, right?
Right.
Okay, so you keep going, you keep going. I'm a product of this. Not pointing no fingers except at me. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And it ain't until you finally accept, even through paperwork
Hmm.
and litigations and money,
Right.
that it's done. You see what I'm saying? And that's how powerful acceptance is, different from acknowledging. So you can
Gotcha.
acknowledge the truth, doesn't mean you accept
Right.
it. That doesn't take away what you're saying. I just had to throw
No,
that.
no, 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 no. I mean, no. I mean, like I always say, no, I don't never want people to, think that I know everything or I this is whatever. No, I,
I
I, I enjoy learning. I enjoy learning. I enjoy, my experience because, like you say, you have the experience. You know what I mean? And, one thing that I do like about this, like I said, about these dialogues or this platform, we just talk. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? We just have great conversations amongst men, not a race, not a color, you know what I'm saying, not a sexuality, but just as men. That's why I really enjoy this dialogue. That's why I look forward to, these conversations, these talks, because like I say, these are archives that our children, our grandchildren are gonna be able to see and say, wow, this is how they thought. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how my granddad sound. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But when my
Okay.
when,
Good point.
but when my grandkids they get older, they say, "Well, how did Papa sound?" And their mom could be like, and mom and dad be like, "Well, you still got YouTube. YouTube, that's like my face. Well, he on there. You can see him, you can hear him, you can see his thought process.
I like that special.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's an archive. Those are the things, because think about it. If we have these archives in the 1778s, do you really think George Washington be the president of the United States of America or the free world?
Ooh,
Thomas Jefferson.
there you go,
You know what I'm
instigate.
saying?
There you go,
I'm just,
instigate.
I'm just saying because the truth is just the truth. Because you can't, when the truth is in front of you, you can't deny the truth. You can, but when you don't have it, when you don't have the truth, you can bend it and use it to your advantage at every time at all times.
Well, they always say, an old saying, they say, history don't lie, historians do. So, I mean,
That's right. That's
That's how
absolutely
they did it.
correct.
Yeah, yes, sir. So to get on, um, to jump into when you bring up the forefathers of our country, when it was the continental U.S. okay, right? Before it
Right.
was even close to being 50 states. Uh, I tell you, it's one character that really stands out to me, and every time you look him up, this dude really didn't have a strong military background. A little bit in his family, but not like pedigree. You know,
Hmm.
this guy didn't have really theoretically strong political background,
Hmm.
but this dude had that kind of influence. I mean, they called him the playboy of that time. And
Hmm.
we talk about George Washington, we talk about Jefferson, we talk about all these hierarchies, but how did Benjamin Franklin get in? I mean, all these other guys had some type of military, political, pedigree.
Hmm.
Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
And I know that's a total flip. Um, Talking about inverting the role, right? But like, how did this guy? I like the way I offended that, but how did this
Right.
guy
Yeah, I
invert
like
the
that.
role to have this kind of
No.
power?
He wasn't a senator. He wasn't a president. He wasn't like you said. He wasn't political. He was just a genius. That's my opinion. He was just a genius, and and not only being a genius, but he was one of the leaders of the Freemasons. You know,
Gotcha.
so because you know, just let history tell itself that once Christianity took over Rome, if I'm not mistaken, the Illuminati was actually scientists, and because of their scientists' work or their science, the Christianity would do the same thing that was done to them, drive them underground. Won't give them the free speech to have to speak their science. And so they drove them underground, and so they ended up going from, I believe, Rome to, what was it? They started traveling like over to, at that time it was what, England, Switzerland. So that's when they established the Masons. You know, they established their what is the word I'm looking for? Their
I mean, they really established their European staple
right,
on on,
right,
on, on, on on something that is really relic when you talk about the Masons and the Masonic Pact.
right.
When you talk about something that started out as a practical fraternity of
Right,
blue collar work.
that's what I'm saying.
Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest, blue collar work,
Right,
and it became so important that it became adopted just the way they lived and went about each other. It became adopted even in the hierarchy. So when you look at something as powerful as being a builder, right? Being able to manipulate stone, and I'm gonna tell you that they're most, to me, they're most powerful. Is how they was able to build things and hide their secrets within that. And you talking about thousands and thousands of years later, we still finding out new shit. Like, even without
right.
technology, like, how is these people able to be this intelligent to build things and hide things? You see what I'm saying? Even when you talk about, because you talk about masonry or the Masonic pack. That thing goes
Mhm.
all the way. I mean, even the skill of stone goes all the way to India and Australia and some of these
Right.
old. And even when you talk about Angkor Wat, or when you talk about uh, the Taj Mahal, that was a dark story when you
Right.
think about it. Like the king of that time who built that, if I'm not mistaken, behind a female that he was obsessed with. I don't know if she was his wife or concubine, but he was obsessed with her, and he conjured up all this money and all these resources to build this act of God, right?
Right.
Now watch this. He was so obsessed with this, if I'm not, if rumor has it, that he killed a lot of the builders, cut their tongues out so they couldn't tell the secrets, blind a lot of them so they could, you know what I mean, like cut their hands off. Like
Damn.
he did not want this act of God architecturally to be passed on to somebody else.
Damn.
Now I know that was a good flip, but inverting the role. I'll go ahead and let you jump on that.
No, you go ahead, man. I'm enjoying it. I have to make a move. I gotta give me some ice for this ankle. So continue on, man. I mean, you doing a great job. You holding it. You holding it. You giving a lot of knowledge and a lot of history. A lot of people, our viewers, would love to hear. Especially me. I'm definitely enjoying. I did not know that about Taj Mahal. I know it's considered as the eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna say eight
But
or seven, one of them.
right.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So um, continue, man. I mean, speak on. I would like to know as far as how some of the Egyptians kings, or how some of the kings, or some of the tradition, or the society, as the pharaohs, or the senates and everything. Well, not senates, but two different things. But as far as the pharaohs would uh would treat, just about the kings. I know you know a lot of history about that.
Okay. 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 Um. Wow, that's a huge setup. A nice jump off. With a
It's all
with
good. I brought back grab some ice for my ankle. But go ahead, because it's still recording live.
that's
We got
cool.
some viewers in here now. We got viewers in here checking it out too.
Uh,
So hold on. So some of the viewers, if you want to drop some questions for Stein, for Sorey, just drop it in the comment. You know what I'm saying? I read them off to him, and you know what I'm saying. So let's enjoy it.
instigate. Um, I tell you what, that's a good question when you asked about the kings and queens of, I would say, the ancient world. That's why history is so powerful. Because what's slick about history, if you want to find that link, what's slick about history is you got to have math in history. You got to have science in history. Like you cover all the bases if you can learn the intricacies of history. Now, in saying that, it's so abundant and so vast that I don't want you to think, my Top Gun hat and my Bruce Lee T-shirt. What top? That I'm some sensei of knowledge. Hell no. I'm still learning every day. There it is. Now, but what I want to jump on to get back to the subject: king, queen. Well, when you really think about it, and you go through the history, this ain't pretty history, man. I mean, have you really just take some time and just go back and study just the shit of royalty. Like it's not pretty. It makes you wonder. The only way that 80% of these jokers was fit is because of family ties. I mean, think about it. Like some of the stories of what royalty did was just diabolical. It's a big word, 3 syllables. Diabolical. I think it's got three. But anyway, so let's just pinpoint some of the extraordinary, shall we? And I'm gonna tell you my sexy pick, especially if we want to talk about Egypt. And man, it's gonna be different. I know a lot of people they're gonna think I'm talking about the I'm an Hotep and all them, uh, King Tut and all that. But I'm gonna tell you, when you go study Cleopatra, wow. I mean, it was more than meets the eye. I mean, yes, she was a beautiful woman. As we say, where I'm from, a bad bitch. And let me explain to you how bad she was. She grew up as a little girl. If you go through there amongst many of the siblings, you know that's royalty, right? Yeah. But she had a wit about herself where she could learn multiple languages and she can learn multiple arts and she could comprehend these things. And her memory was extraordinary and the way she could go about and they noticed even in teenager that she had this extraordinary way of speaking and eulogizing and arguing. Kind of found out that when Cleopatra was in rule, if you go back and study, like everything about Egypt was tight. Like how? With all the technology that we have, there's not too many governments that can say everything around. That's like, we go back to football. That's like saying a football team is just perfect all the way around. Special teams, running, passing, defense, coaching, administration, front office. It's damn near impossible. But some kind of way, this special woman that had alien features, she pulled it off. Like, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, she ruled for a minute. When you think about uh, uh, queens that rule. She ruled for a minute with an exquisite hand. She could speak the languages of whoever she went against. She could play chess like not too many men could at that time, and she was deadly. The way she merged the north of Egypt with the south, commerce. And I brought it up not just because she's a woman, but I'm just saying just the ingenuity of her brain, the way she went about it, and but Egypt, man, when you talk about Egypt, man, I gotta take my shades off of this one. Egypt. Now, if Samaritan or Samaritan was not mind blowing enough, when you talk about one of the first forms of writing in a cuneiform fashion, how elaborate and exquisite that was. But man, when you talk about the architecture of Egypt, come on, man, there's no way you can chisel faces that perfect. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let your eyes fool you. There's no way you can chisel a face on the left side perfectly symmetrically perfect with the right side. They had machinists and technicians, heavyweights, degrees, just lined up. They had these jokers. They come in, they pay them money, and they come in with the machines and stuff, and they shot pictures, and they shot multiple pictures, and all kind of 3D like shit, and then they inverted them on top of each other. Took pictures of the faces of the Sphinx and all this stuff they saw in Egypt, and when they inverted them, they perfectly mathematically fit. Come on, man. How? Chiseling? Oh, come on, man. Come on. Come on. It is humanly impossible for us to do something the same exact way, especially mathematics. By hand. I'm gonna get off that subject because I know I'd be jumping. But like I said before, history don't lie, historians do. For whatever reason, right? Kings and queens. I know my man cooking up some shit. Probably some people gonna be popping up like fucking gremlins, you know what I mean? Just popping up. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just going to stay on that subject line. My man Bruce Lee behind me, he said, a lot of people don't know Bruce Lee had a master's degree, if I'm not mistaken, in philosophy. Hey, Bruce Lee say, be like water. Well, why? Because water can conform to something. Usually that it can take over. But that's my little extra. You dig a hole, fill that bitch up. Water will conform to it, fill it up. But if you ain't got nothing else left, it will take it over. That's just water, right? So I think a lot of times when you talk about us, get back to the subject, inverting the role. I think a lot of times us that sometimes we'll be too strong when we don't need to. Fill a hole in first before you take over, right? I think sometimes when we get out of a deep ass hole, experience this, been in a hole so long that as soon as we get out of the hole, we just take off running. They don't realize what go up, go down, what go forward, eventually goes what? Backwards. So it seems like most time what happened is we take off so fast and then we go through some things in life and we don't realize we're going backwards, and then we fall into that same motherfucking hole that we end up covering up. That's why I say to my brothers and my sisters, you're going through some things, you're in a little bit of a hole. Once you get out that motherfucker, man, don't just take off. Spend a little time, fill that bitch in. That's all I'm saying. It works. I finally had to learn that. It works. Fill that hole in. Never forget the old Hawk told you. What goes up goes down. What goes forward, yes, goes backwards. Eventually. Inverting the role. Sometimes we don't like being victims. That's because we forgot sometimes we are the victor. Ooh, sometimes we are the bully. Ain't there some? We talk about, man, it don't make no sense how they just make fun of them and they always on their ass. But don't we do that sometimes? Invert the role. Sometimes we the victim and sometimes we're the bully. Let me just put it like that. What's it gonna be? It's that fallback though, right? Yeah, that's what we can't guess. That fucking karma. We can't guess that. It's all. I look at karma like it's going to the slot machine, right? And you got the perfect number, you got the perfect thing, you think you got it because you hit that last week, and you got your little machines you're gonna sit at, and you try and hit, and you done spent all your money that night. Guess what? You ain't hit. Karma. You cannot predict, fathom, or control it. It's just like this mathematical sequence of different gears that eventually, if you fall in the wrong place, there's some payback, right? Right? You ain't get a game. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have to talk to you. I'm just kind of just.
No, you good, brother. You good.
Oh,
Doing a great
right.
job. Yeah, oh yeah. I heard all that, man.
I'm doing a great job. Thank you, boss.
Whatever.
Is there something else you want me to talk on, or is there somebody else to come on? Or what's gonna happen?
Well, one of viewers, she did ask a question. Since you
Okay.
guys are live right now, can
Yeah.
you expand on the uh, the topic of what young boys being their husbands?
Gotcha. I appreciate that question. Uh, Keep in mind, I like I say, I'm going off totally off of what psychologists have said, different research and different numbers. Um,
Correct.
I totally didn't like what I saw, but from what they was explaining to me is that and I can't say from experience of watching other homies that actually went through this, it rung a bell to see that it was usually behind uh, a traumatic experience. In other words, the mom either went through a traumatic experience when she was a young girl with some type of father figure, a disastrous, uh, relationship, or it's going through a disastrous marriage, right? Uh, that led to a horrible divorce, and then therefore it seemed like just as a defense mechanism, uh, they kind of just went beyond the call of duty, not purposely, but went beyond the call of duty and not knowing that they actually turned their young sons into the man of the house. I know we said husbands, but if you think about that, that fit that same role into the man of the house. And me personally, I don't think it's something that's premeditated. I don't think it's something that women are naturally doing. And that's
Right.
why I also have to play that X factor, right? I'm glad you asked that question. I also have to play the X factor because I've seen that also, and I brought this up with men. So is this not just a going toward a sex thing when you talk about male or female? Is this a just a human psychology thing or a psychological thing that we always try and build these little defense mechanisms when we go through um, some type of bonding traumatic or trauma from bonding, like a spouse, if that makes sense. So, other words, for example, you can see where you got you got moms that are deciding not to go out and seek their dreams, seek their goals, because their son is saying, "Well, no, I want you here," or "No, I want this," or "No, I want that." And so then they inadvertently, not even realize it, they're giving more the son of what he wants, as if he is that king, or as if he is responsible. Let me say, because I ain't saying a son shouldn't be your king. Please look at it like that. But I'm saying responsibly, if we think about it as an adult, responsibility wise, he's not there yet. That's why he's a minor for a reason. You can see the same thing. My man Kamish brought it up. You can see the same thing in some single fathers that have their custody of their daughters. You see that where the daughters are washing dishes and washing their clothes, and we don't know if it's because of the parent, the single parent, or the kid, but for some reason this phenomenon keeps happening. And from what they said, it's called inverted incest or incest inverted or some. You have to look it up. Check me on that. But I didn't like the way the word sound. But the explanation of it made sense, and it seemed like the root of it is from some type of trauma.
Okay.
Um, I
I
don't
think that
know.
makes sense.
Hopefully that expound on it. Appreciate your question. Uh, yeah, keep coming with them. I appreciate it. Hot topics.
All right, so we just waiting on different questions for tonight.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
What is Hawk's Instagram page? What is your Instagram page?
Oh man. Wait, wait a minute. Let me remember because I ain't been on it for so long. So I tell you what, that's you put me on the spot. That's a really good question. I gotta get my Instagram game back tight. I ain't been on that in a while. We've been so busy with YouTube recording
I
these
know.
these sessions. So I apologize. I I guarantee the next time I will have it ready for
Good
you. I
deal.
have it
Good
ready
deal.
for you.
Uh,
Man, they put me on the spot. I gotta go back and chime up my Instagram.
uh,
And there's some crazy
what is
shit on
that?
there too. I'm
What
telling
is
you.
that that you're drinking in that jar? Boy, these folks here knows it.
What?
What is that you're drinking in that jar, Hawk?
It's holy water. It's water.
Y'all heard it first. It's holy water.
Matter of fact, I'm out of it, but it's holy water streaming from the mountains.
of Tennessee.
coming down. Matter of fact, I had to make a special hire, a special trip.
You made it yourself?
I had 1 gallon on my back, and I was climbing up the mountain. I was dehydrated. I had no more Gatorade, and I had to kind of say, "How am I gonna get to this holy water?" And right before I collapsed,
Like
that gallon that I had on my back, it was saturated and signed, sealed, and delivered. I hope that answers your question. I hope that it's that holy water.
Yeah, man. They laughing like a bug at you.
Oh,
Somebody called you the hood Bruce Wayne. The hood.
climbing in that cave, everywhere. And they were trying to get my special water. I had to fight them off. Get away from me. Oh man, y'all instigate.
Oh man.
That's what's up.
Yeah, hot topics, man.
Hot topics, baby. Keep it coming.
I'm just waiting. Hold on a minute.
Matter of fact, while you wait, let me for a few minutes. Let me go get a refill.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me go get a refill. Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Man, he got a real refill.
Now wait a minute. Let me explain this. Because I don't want to look like half of this is that, and the rest is water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let me just say that. Yeah,
So you got real refill.
yeah. I don't want to be sleeping in the drug just like this. Y'all still asking questions. Is he dead? Or why are you not responding? Like, yeah, I know better than that. Now, if I was in my 20s, I probably would have went hard to the paint like that.
Right. Yep.
Man, that shit still potent. God damn, how much water I put in it?
Mm-hmm.
There's a holy water though. Holy water.
Holy water.
Holy.
All right, y'all. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. So I'm waiting. Keep them coming.
Tell you what, while we waiting. Man, what you think about that Richard Sherman, man? That Richard Sherman shit, man, is going down, man. I tell you, man, that's
Yeah, I really haven't heard too much. I really haven't paid attention to it. What's going down with it?
Hello?
Yeah, what was going down?
Supposedly, it was at I think his wife's family member's house, and something went down, something with the kids.
Okay.
He lost his temper, and the only thing you can say, nobody got hurt. There was a little damage. Supposedly some act of resistance. I'm not sure about that, but it's one thing for certain. Evidently, it wasn't aggressive because they didn't pull out guns or nothing like that to shoot.
Right.
So what the details are saying. Of course, the K9s were released.
Okay.
He had some minor injuries from that, but it makes you wonder what was said. Like, and then when you look deeper into it, there was alcohol involved, of course. If I'm not mistaken, there was alcohol involved. So, Me personally, I can't expect to try and logically analyze a person that wasn't thinking logically because of whatever reason. But what I'm talking about is the outcome. How does this look contractually? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
these are minor charges, but man, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah,
Richard
I
still can
mean,
play, man. Like he can still play. He can still go. I mean, we talking about a dude that can still run about 4.5, 4.6, right? In the 40. Like this guy is still a pivotal defensive back, one of the hardest positions to play in the
yeah,
NFL.
not only that, he's pretty pivotal. He's also pivotal in his community. You know what I mean?
That too. Like this ain't something that you normally. And I think we
Right.
forget that is like when this do happen to guys like him that normally don't be in trouble.
Right.
Like this ain't the constant thing. Like it's like I think that's what takes us by storm. Like it's like okay, the dude lost his
Like I said,
cup.
I think we spend so much energy on. I always say, escalating or trying to de-escalate the black male role, especially in power. You know what I mean? Because just a year ago, we had this white boy who played for Seattle Seahawks, pretty much left his black girlfriend for dead, beat her
Wow,
down. You know what I mean?
wow, wow. I
How
forgot
much
about that.
energy are we giving that?
Well, wow, I forgot about that. Well, that you're right about that. That did happen. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? He sweep it from the rug. But I mean, how much energy did we put into that? We talking about this man. He was surprised that she was still alive. That's what he said.
Wow. Well, I
That's
mean,
what he said.
I tell you what, I mean, of course, litigation's happened with that. Things went the way hopefully they needed to with that situation. And and you hope that with this situation that you hope it don't become like the Deshaun Watson situation, like where it's this constant like they can't even if we was to switch to to Deshaun Watson, like we can't even get to litigations because it just keeps coming. It's like, oh man, like what is going on?
Yeah,
You
but
know what I mean?
remember, like I always say, you remember when Ben Roethlisberger had those rape allegations back to back to back to back. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true. That's
They
true.
didn't make it a contract issue. They didn't make it a football issue. You know, they made it a they was at the wrong place at the wrong time issue. You know, but like I say, it's all about defaming. For me, it's defaming. People that's in sports. So just because you give a black man a check doesn't mean that you own him.
That is true. That is true. And I mean,
Brother is
and rightfully so. I mean, it proves that when you think about uh, the protection. Now, that's something that we don't talk about. Is
hmm
protection that the universities do when they're
hmm
dealing with an athlete that have problems, right? And they do what they can and what they must and whatever their rules of ethics to try and keep this as far from the media as possible while handling disciplinary actions, right?
right.
Sometimes they leak out, sometimes they don't. Well, I mean, once you go to pro, there ain't no organization to protect you,
Right.
right? If you get some allegations on you or you get into some trouble, like you in some trouble.
Well, that's why I can say about one thing about the Dallas Cowboys. I will say that Jerry Jones, he's an old school owner. He's that he's that country guy. If I ride with you, I'm gonna do everything to protect you. That's what I like about Jerry. Zeke, he done been in Zeke done been in some troubles. But Jerry is
Nothing,
one thing.
nothing worse from the 70 Cowboys all the way up to
No.
the
He was
Cowboys.
caught.
They
No,
sort of stuff
he
they
was
was
caught.
doing. Like, what the hell?
He was caught smoking weed on live, and he was caught getting his yayas sucked on the boat,
We,
and
we,
just.
hold on.
Men
Let me
stuff.
say this: those are bad. I ain't condoning. I'm like those are bad. I
Right,
thought you
right,
were talking
right.
about like if you talk about like just uh, the drug cases and things like that some of the players went through, even though some of the allegations and things with the younger guys are not good neither. You know, we
Right.
talk underwear being stolen, things like that. Like it's the saga seems like it keeps continuing,
Yeah.
and I'm a Cowboys fan, but we
Yeah.
call it Big D for a reason, for drama, right? So
Right, right.
so but think about it. It's more quick when you ain't under that corporate shield called a university. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're a man on your own, right? It's just between you and your agent,
Right.
and hopefully your lawyer. Like you ain't under. And I agree with you. Jerry have done a fantastic job trying to whatever it is he's trying to do when it comes to when bad shit happens, right?
Right.
Been a Cowboy fan a long time. Nobody really has a schematic on what Jerry's gonna say and what he's doing. Man. Like we don't know. But
Right.
when you talk about other teams, there's this constant burden of man. I hope these young bucks. I hope they ain't fuck ups. You know what I mean? And what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by fuck ups is I hope they're not doing things that's going. When you mess up in the pro sport, man, that carries for a long time, man. Like you said about us archiving ourselves online. Like think about that. Like nowadays, it's hard for that to be water under the bridge. Don't you agree?
Right.
With all the social media, with all the outlets and inlets, you know.
Yeah, my thing, like I said, I look at it like this. You taking minorities out of a jungle and wanted them to accept an environment of kingdom. It's like taking a wild lion and just placing him in the middle of in a in a palace.
That's problematic.
Yeah,
Bet you
because
$5 somebody gonna get
what
it.
what did you do to prepare this young lion to be raised in a palace? Rather than giving that coach $10 million a year, spend some of that on helping that young man get therapy. You know, and then we talk about here we are. He plays in this. He played in the system. He played by the rules. He done gave 110 and taking chances. Not only just taking penitentiary chances and busting his knee and everything, basically paying for a meal and somewhere to stay. And that meal got to come at chow time. You know what I mean? They not, what I'm saying? They still got to eat noodles and this and that and scrape, and they can't send money home to their moms. They can't, you know what I mean? Can't pay their cell phone bill. And then when they get to the NFL, it's like, shit, I think I'm 22. I got 22 million. Nigga, I got 22. I got 22 million reasons to fuck up.
Ain't that a true statement? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm the man now. You know what I mean? And then the NFL, they put in their little their programs where we want all the young men to do this and to do that. Granted, the NFL has done a better job than it has years before. Man, you got individuals like Pac-Man Jones and Chris Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Portis. You know what I'm saying? Not Portis, but the dude from Washington. I think so. He went and played in the game after drinking a whole bottle of Hennessy drunk.
This my thing. How easy? How easy is it? And I'm slapping myself with what I'm gonna say. So it's gonna hit me just as hard as whoever else. How easy is that I can name black athletes? that have fucked up
Right.
or some type of allegation. If you was to ask me to just name a bunch of white athletes, if I can name as many as you see what I'm saying, like that's puzzling, man. That makes me check myself because when we talk about professional sports, from baseball all the way from golf all the way to football, which was predominantly back in the day a white sport of the privilege. Go do your
Right.
research, right? I think
Right.
all the way to the 30s, right?
Right.
Now you knew when we talking about back in the day where there was no drug regulations of whatever, the law was kind of like some lint, it just kind of float. If it land on your ass, it's you know what I
Right.
mean.
Just land.
We talking about the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. So come on, man, you can't make me believe that there was not other races of professional athletes that had serious shit that they did. And we don't even
Oh,
want to start with Babe Ruth. But if we talk about but notice I'm being honest with you, people. I can name more black than I can white. And is that because that's what was shown most of the time?
yeah, that was mostly what was shown, and that's just the majority of the NFL. I know, there's white. I don't man, I'm trying to prop up this ankle. Come on now, there's white guys or white players that has spousal abuse issues, like that kicker Chris, wasn't it Chris Brown?
Yeah, I forgot that.
Unfortunately, for the
Right.
Giants. You know what I'm saying? They knew about it, but they didn't even kick him off the team. They knew that he beat his wife, put her in the hospital. Well, when Ray Rice came out, that was the oh yeah, that was the end of that.
That was the story, right? Like
Yeah,
that just went all over the world.
yeah. So no, you're right. I mean, we know, we're not dumb, and but that just makes the better story. That just makes the better story, and
Unfortunately.
and it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of society. Society has a standard. If you're going to report on something, make it about something. Don't make the story about you. Make the story about the story. You know, in journalism. So that's why I blame these black writers. You don't have enough black writers out here protecting these black young men. Stephen A. Wilborn, Bomani Jones. You know, Michael Smith. You don't have these black reporters. Jamil Hill. You don't have these black reporters protecting these because something happens, they own them because they doing it for a check. They doing it for a check. So, but yeah, man, that was a great interview tonight, man. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna get this ankle together. I'm about to take me some more meds.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Do your thing, man. And until next time.
Salute.
Salute. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate the questions. Hopefully we can get more interaction. And that was a beautiful.
Yeah, we want to thank the people that was in tonight. We appreciate y'all. Please come back. We will be on within the next day or two. Appreciate you. Live.
Live.